I was indebted to it. The dependency of my position on the Prussian government was intolerable under the present circumstances. 10 months later, Albert Einstein was in exile, his property seized by Hitler's new regime. Germany's loss was America's gain. A country that had once been a center of scientific and cultural brilliance was now being remade under the shadow of a single man's ideology. On March 25, 1933, Hermann Goering addressed members of the foreign press. He claimed that no one in Germany had even had a fingernail cut off. He did not deny that several thousand communist officials had been arrested, but insisted they were treated like any other prisoner. There had also been cases where Jews were arrested and beaten. Goering said, "The government and I will never tolerate that someone is persecuted just because he is Jewish." Yet the reality on the streets told a different story. By March 31st, the regime was making its intentions clear. Goering announced a nationwide boycott of Jewish businesses. At the entrances, soldiers of the SA stood, not aggressively but as reminders. This was a Jewish business. Customers were warned without words. By April 1st, 1933, shop windows were painted with the word Jew in large letters. Small red slips warned, "Germans do not buy from Jews." The initial shock reverberated through society. Some murmured disapproval, suppressed but audible. Others remained silent, fearful. April 1st, 1933 was a decisive turning point. The rule of law was gone. Naked tyranny had replaced it. What followed was not random persecution, it was a systematic, deliberate campaign to reshape Germany's social, political, and cultural landscape. Soon, a nationwide campaign targeted the so-called non-German spirit. Jews, intellectuals, and other groups deemed hostile to the regime were systematically marginalized. On May 10, 1933, undesirable books were publicly burned in Berlin, across from Friedrich Wilhelm University. Works by German Jews, atheists, Marxists, and intellectuals, Sigmund Freud, Karl Marx, Theodor Wolff, Emmy Ludwig, were consumed by flames. Authors recalled standing among essay students, watching their books burn, hearing names called out, witnessing their cultural existence symbolically erased. One writer observed the strange power of a single man to redirect and convert an entire society. Others chose silence, hiding their true thoughts, outwardly compliance but inwardly preserving their integrity. Julius Labord, imprisoned for his political beliefs, wrote, "It is better to be outwardly unfree and inwardly face the future with a proud soul." The first concentration camps appeared, initially aimed at political opponents. SS units ran these improvised prisons until Himmler's SS assumed control, creating the SS state. These camps were deadly, and many thousands of Germans opposed to the Nazis died there before the regime expanded. The NSDAP loyalty was absolute. By mid-1933, political parties, trade unions, and even religious organizations were dissolved. Only the NSDAP remained legal. National Socialism demanded conformity, crushing dissent, and deploying fear, propaganda, and spectacle to enforce obedience. Radio, film, and newspapers became propaganda tools. The regime controlled not only what people did, but what they believed. Even the arts were harnessed to serve ideology. Leni Riefenstahl's early films, produced on small budgets, glorified Hitler and the party, shaping perception and stirring nationalistic fervor. The consolidation of power was ruthless. On June 30th, 1934, the Night of the Long Knives eliminated SA leaders who were perceived as threats. Between 150 and 200 people were executed. The SS emerged as an elite, self-contained organization, loyal only to Hitler. The SA was reduced to a ceremonial role. This purge sent a chilling message. Loyalty to the Führer was absolute, and opposition could cost one's life. Even as Hitler laughed in private, those close to him noted the traces of scorn and suppressed ambition behind his charm. Humor could mask ruthlessness, and the world outside was unaware of the terror underlying the image of the charismatic leader. By late 1933, Germany was a country remade. Non-conforming political parties were banned: the Social Democratic Party, the Catholic Bavarian People's Party, the Center Party. All were dissolved or absorbed. Opposition was crushed. The NSDAP became the sole authorized political party. Elections and referenda were orchestrated to project the illusion of consent, yet millions abstained or resisted in silence. The 1930s were a period of transformation unlike any in Germany's history. Propaganda, spectacle, and violence combined to enforce loyalty. Mass rallies, book burnings, and boycotts became tools of indoctrination. The German population was coerced into participation, whether through fear, hope, or ideological persuasion. The lessons of these years are stark. Democracy can be fragile. Propaganda can be lethal. Ideology, when combined with state power, can remake society almost overnight. From book burnings to concentration camps, from boycotts to mass rallies, the machinery of oppression was perfected. Fear, spectacle, and ideology controlled not just actions, but thoughts, beliefs, and loyalties. And as the world watched, Germany was remade in the image of one man's vision: absolute authority, enforced by the SS, sustained by propaganda, and maintained through terror. Even as Hitler's public image portrayed strength, warmth, and humor, the reality was a state built on obedience and the suppression of freedom. Those who dared resist paid with imprisonment, exile, or death. And yet, despite the fear, some held to their conscience, preserving what humanity remained in private: witnessing, recording, and remembering. The rise of Nazi Germany demonstrates the terrifying efficiency of a state that combines ideology with violence, spectacle with fear, and propaganda with ruthlessness. It is a warning to every generation. The erosion of democracy, the normalization of hatred, and the concentration of power in the hands of one man can have consequences that reverberate for decades.